Hello Stampers, welcome to the craft room. Today I want to show you how to make this card, and specifically we're going to focus on how to make this nest. So to do this you're going to need a non-stick or silicone craft sheet. They come in different colors. I have this one, which is a craft sheet. There's this one that you can pick up at the sewing store. You can see it's well loved. And it's just a sheet that helps you iron, so a silicone ironing sheet. The other thing that we're going to need for this project is also some iron-on adhesive. It's also called fusible web. This one is in sheets. It's called Heat and Bond, and I have a whole roll of it. And this one is the lightweight. They also come in heavyweight, so depending on what else you're going to be doing, probably any of them will work. But we're going to work with this one that comes on a roll and has paper on one side and the fusible adhesive is on the other side. What we're going to do is start by taking our 1 1/4 inch circle punch, and I'm just punching part of a piece of natural ivory cardstock. And I'm not going to punch a full circle. I'm going to punch what I think might be a nest shape. So a little bit more than half of that circle, and that's going to act as our nest. Then we're going to take some of this fusible web, and what we're going to do, and you can see I've done it multiple times here, is just cut out a piece of fusible web that matches that shape. I'm going to need an iron, and you want to follow the directions on your fusible web. Mine says to heat my iron to medium heat, so that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to pull over my silicone ironing sheet. And what we're going to do is just iron this piece of fusible web onto the piece of cardstock. And I'm just going to fold over the silicone sheet a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead, and it says to hold it down for about 2 seconds or so. I'll hold it down just a tad longer here and lift up. And let's see. Yep, that did it. So now we're just going to let that cool for a moment. And once it cools, what we're going to be able to do is remove this paper backing from the actual iron-on webbing. So it's leaving the webbing on the cardstock, and we're just removing this little piece of paper, which becomes a little piece of scratch paper, or scrap paper. So now what I'm going to do is pull my silicone sheet in here. I'm placing this nest down. This is the cardstock, this is the side that has the adhesive. So I'm placing it with the adhesive side up, and now we're going to build our nest. So I have little threads. This is a piece of twill that I had stamped on with the En Française stamp set. I'm using stays on. And what we're going to do is just start to cut little pieces of our ribbons, of our threads, and you're just building a nest just like a bird would. Get some more thin pieces. You can also take some of your satin ribbon. Any of your little odds and ends are really great for this project. So I might take some of these threads and kind of snip them a little bit. I also like to play around with old pairs of jeans that I cut up, or let's grab some of that. So this is a piece of an old pair of jeans, so I can just kind of snip little bits of that. I also have here a piece of springtime vintage fabric, and so I'm just gonna snip little pieces of that. So let's just build that up. It's looking pretty good. If I were a bird, I'd probably like that nest. If you want to add a bit of color, you can always take, this is the striped grosgrain ribbon, and you can get little pieces of that to add a little bit of green if you're wanting some green on your nest. And when you feel like you've got the surface pretty well covered, that's starting to look pretty well covered, what we're going to do is just take our corner of our craft sheet, and we're going to fold it over our little nest, and then we're going to iron. And we're going to hold this down about 6 seconds or so. Take a quick peek, and then I'm going to fold it over again so that I can iron the back side of it as well. If you want to make your nest thicker, you can. What you'll find is that after the first layer, some of these layers may not start to stick. So like this little piece didn't really have anything to adhere to since it had gotten nice and thick. So what you can always do is come in and take another piece of your fusible webbing. So here's an example. This is the webbing on this side and plain paper on this. And you can actually peel the webbing away from this backing. If you go to the edge, you can actually peel the web, hopefully you can see this, away from the backing. So if you wanted to add a little bit more of a layer, you can cut the webbing and start to put it on top. And then you can add more fibers if you want. So let's try that a little bit. So again, we're just going to fold this over and we're going to iron for about 6 seconds. We're going to pull it up, and don't forget we like to iron the back as well, so about 6 seconds there too. And then we're going to pull that away and see how well we did with our fusing. So I actually am pulling this away a little too soon because it's sticking to my craft sheet, and that's okay. So I'm just gonna do that a little bit more and try to be a little bit more patient this time. It's hard for me. I like to move on with my project and keep going. So now let's peel this away, and now we've got a really cute little nest. And you can leave it like this if you wanted. Oops. If you wanted, you could go ahead and trim the nest a little bit. So you might want to cut away some of those fibers, maybe even a little bit of those. The other thing I sometimes do is I age them a little bit or make them look a little bit dirty. You can always take a little bit of soft suede ink and a sponge and do a little bit of sponging. So here's an example of one that I sponged a little bit with soft suede ink. So it gives it a little bit of a dirty look. Okay, and now we're going to do a little bit of stamping. I'm going to use this really cute bird stamp from the Friends 24/7 stamp set. So let me put my nest aside and let's go ahead and ink this up and stamp our bird. And now we're going to cut that bird out using our paper snips. Okay, so now our bird is all cut out, and what I like to do with him is give him a little bit of color. So I'm going to grab my Stampin' Pastels, and I actually like to use these with Q-tips. So I'm just going to pick up some of the blue colors here, and this is just going to be whatever colors you like. I'm going to make my bird a blue bird for this one. You can pick up a little bit darker shade, a little Pacific Point, and make him a little bit darker. I actually like to come in with like a soft suede color and actually go over the black part. Sometimes I'll take some more mustard or so saffron or maybe even a little pumpkin pie and just color in his beak. So now we're ready to construct our card. I took a piece of Natural Ivory's cardstock, and this piece is 5.5 by 8.5, and I just scored it and folded it in half. We're going to need our nest as well and our adorable little bird. So I think we're going to start by putting our bird down first, and you can put him down with dimensionals. You can also put him down, just glue him down. I like him having a little bit of dimension, so I'm going to grab some dimensionals. I think I like him around there on the card. So we'll set him down. With the nest, I like the nest kind of being a little bit popped up and a little bit down. So I like to use half a dimensional. I'm going to put that half a dimensional kind of toward the top of the nest. And then what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of Tombow Mono multi-glue, and I'm just going to put a tiny bit of glue on the bottom of the nest. And if we hold that for a little bit, you get that effect of the top of the nest being a little bit raised and the bottom of the nest is adhered to the card. And now it's time to place your greeting or message. So I'm going to grab my calendar alphabet and number stamp set and pull out the letters that I need for nest. And I'm going to grab some early espresso ink and go ahead and add our word. And there you have it, a really fun way to use your little scraps of threads and fabric and ribbon to fuse them together, build a really adorable nest, and place a very cute bird in your nest. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Card Play, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon here in the craft room.